Rotate my phone. No. I want it this way. Don't tell me what you think I want. Finish. Oh, don't end it. Fucking, I hate you, Facebook.
You're live.
I'm live?
You're live.
And I don't know which way. I'm guessing it wants me to go this way since it won't put live in the other corner. Hey, pull your phone out and see which way I'm oriented. Give us a second. We'll figure this out. We're smarter than this.
Turn my Wi-Fi off. Maybe it'll.
We're trying to make sure we're actually live. Hey, so somebody's watching. Hey, Kate, are we right side up or not? We're trying to figure it out. Facebook didn't kind of jump on quickly. Wait, okay, so we're right side up. We see it on another feed. Well, welcome everybody. We are the Ghost Geeks. We are here at the Olde Park Hotel in Ballinger, Texas, the one and only haunted hotel out here, and it is amazing. We finished setting up a little bit ago, and we went to go have dinner, but just setting up, we caught two apparitions. Clear as day, we got here. Hey, Kat, nice to see you. And we were just watching a shadow that walked across our DVR cam, which is why we're a little late. We started focusing, and we were like, oh, yeah, we got to go live. So here behind me, we got Kiki. The rest of the team's sitting in the lobby. I can see him on the DVR. Yo. We're getting ready to go live. So, actually, we're not getting ready to go live. We are live here. So we're going to start walking around here in a second. We're going to take a quick tour with everybody. Bobby says, hey, babe.
I love you.
I love you. Aw, they're so gross.
13th wedding anniversary is tomorrow.
Aw. What's that? That's bullshit? I don't know.
That's the high sign.
There's something going on in that back hallway.
Yeah.
Is it me or has the shadow on that doll in the cart changed?
That's what I was just looking at.
It looks longer.
It does look a lot longer.
Let's get the SLS camera.
There's something going on up there.
Something's going on upstairs. We're going to go upstairs right now. I don't remember if Facebook will allow me to flip it while we're still recording or not. I think it does. There we go. All right.
Upstairs.
Welcome, everybody. It's so weird to do it this way. You guys ready? So here we got Tate, we got Ryan. Say your name again. Logan. I keep thinking Lance, it's Logan. Brian, our winner. Say it. What's up, Brian? Brian won our drawing. So he's here with us. This is his wife, Shelly. Shelly. All right. Everybody knows Reagan over there with her face all covered up like she's some gothic dark person. Everybody knows Dan. There's Dan. He owns the place. And then Kiki's in there. They went up to their room, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm coming.
All right. All right, so we're going to walk around. Dan's going to give us a quick tour. We're going to bring you guys along on that. And then we're going to get started investigating this place. We're going to stay alive as long as we can. That's a great idea. Let me grab a UV flashlight while I'm thinking about it. You got one?
Yeah. I've got a camcorder. I'm trying to push the go button on it.
All right. Night vision is that one, and then the go button is that one.
Okay.
That's the record.
Can
all right.
you come into your flashlights?
Yep. Dan's going to give us a quick tour, and then we'll pass out gear.
Oh, okay. Dope. Awesome.
Cool. All right, everybody. Make sure you shout out.
Who's saying what?
Make sure you shout out down there in the comments. Let us know you're watching. If you hear or see anything, you better put it in the comments or I'm going to be mad. Put it in the comments. Let us know that you saw something that we need to be watching for. Did our other two go upstairs?
No,
Yes.
they're out in their truck.
They're out in their truck?
I believe they were going to
Nope. I thought they already went.
They're back. They're upstairs.
They're upstairs?
And who's in that truck?
Oh, did they go back outside?
They don't drive a Dodge.
Okay.
Yeah, no. We saw them go upstairs. Must be someone from the Mexican restaurant that parked that.
Cheryl, you guys upstairs? Dan's going to give us a quick tour of the building, and we're going to show you guys, make sure you know where cameras are so nobody trips and falls.
Quick history things.
So he's going to tell us a little bit of the history and some of the names you might remember for tonight and all that kind of stuff. All right. Woo-hoo, ah. I love UV flashlights. They're so easy on the eyes. So easy on the
We
eyes.
need to remember to holler out the Deacon or whatever.
Who?
Outlaws. Yeah,
Henry.
not him.
Me and Henry, we get along. So glad everybody's here with us tonight. We're just waiting for two more people to come back downstairs real quick, and we're going to get started. Make sure you share this feed, send it out, post it up. You never know. We might do a random drawing for another investigation giveaway. It could happen at any time, just saying. It's going to be fun tonight. Already so much going on here. It's kind of crazy. We're listening for something.
What are you doing?
There's already been so much activity here, and we were just setting up. I can't believe what's been going on already. When we first got here, we went potty break because, 3-hour drive. And as we got to the bottom of the stairs and looked back upstairs, there was someone standing at the top of the stairs. I was setting up the DVR camera, and I plugged in the last camera and looked up at the screen to make sure it actually kicked on and registered the camera to the DVR system. And we saw somebody walk from one room down the end of the hallway and turn back into the workshop room at the very end of the bottom stairs. So that was crazy. And then we've just been hearing noises, and we thought we just saw shadows go across in that same back hallway. So this is going to be something. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan. Dan's going to give us a history lesson, and it's one of my favorite parts about this whole thing.
Yeah, probably the most interesting thing is how it metamorphosized over time. And in a second, we're going to look at some pictures, which is going to bring all this together. But the first thing I want you all to imagine standing right here is imagine you're standing in a 2-story white house. Because that's the way this structure started off. This was an actual exterior wall at one point. This was the outside wall. So basically from that wall, going to that wall, upstairs, going to the back of the kitchen was the whole 2-story white house that you guys going to see in the picture in a second when we go back here. So basically, dating this place gets really hard. It is one of the oldest structures here in Ballinger. The reason why it gets really hard is the floods that they've had over time from the Colorado River were pretty bad, and a lot of documents and various historical things were lost that could actually date this building. But we do have a very old document on the wall in here which suggests that this was the very first school in Ballinger, because they describe a house wooden structure right across from the courtyard square, and that's right where we're at, so it does make sense. The other interesting thing is when you guys look around Ballinger, we're on 6th Street. You guys see a bunch of old buildings on the other side of the courthouse which look really old going down that way, but those streets are getting larger. The smaller streets are actually back here. So when they start a settlement, they're going to start down here on 1st Street and go this way. The reason why you guys don't see a whole lot back here anymore is because the floods damaged a lot of properties. And over time, they just took the properties out, so there's hardly anything back here. But when you guys look at the pictures in here, especially the house picture, I want you to look at all the buildings that are behind us in that picture. There was a lot back here back in the day. Ballinger started off a very interesting history. When you think about how towns get started, Ballinger, very unique. It was started by the railroad company, the Gulf Colorado and Santa Fe. And what was happening at the time in the 1800s was the railroad system was branching out. And the railroads always started at the ports, because that's basically where all your immigration comes in, all your settlers that come off of boats. So little old Galveston here in Texas, you guys have ever been out there, doesn't look like a whole lot now. It's just a little island. But if you look on that island, you notice something really fast. There's some really big mansions sitting on that island, which shows you that back in the day, it was a legal powerhouse. That's where all your judges, that's where all your big Texas attorneys, that's where everybody came from, including the railroad companies. So the railroad was branching up here. They were basically creating these little settlements or bringing them together and making bigger settlements. And that's how Ballinger got started. Ballinger was actually, the settlement was already here. It was actually called Hutchins, which is the name of the street right out here. So it was called Hutchins before it became Ballinger. And the funny thing about Ballinger is that it was named after Galveston, very prominent Galveston judge, attorney. He never lived here a day in his life. They named the whole town after him because they pumped money into this. So that's basically how towns got their name. They named it wherever the money and the wealth was coming from. So on June 29, 1886, right across from the front of the hotel on this little lawn where this gazebo is, 6,000 people stood out there. And in 1886, that's a lot of people. You can imagine. That'd be a lot of people standing out there right now. Well, the reason why there were so many people is out of the Dallas newspapers, various big newspapers across Texas, they've confirmed that they advertised like crazy. And they were basically giving lots away practically for free to try to attract people here. What they were trying to do is they were trying to create the next Dallas in West Texas, is what they were doing. So all these people flocked from the Northeast. They flocked from San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, Houston, you name it. Everybody was coming. So they came out here, had this huge auction that day, took about 2 square miles and basically portioned everything out. Well, it's believed that this housing structure was already standing that day when they had that auction. Because again, Hutchins was already here. And there were also, at the time, it's rumored that there were over 13 saloons in town and 3 brothels. And this was one of them. So, you know, we laugh about brothels nowadays, bordellos. They call them bagnios, actually, was the name that they used back in the day. We laugh about it now, or we kind of like shocked. Churches are like, oh my goodness, we didn't have a brothel here. It's like, yeah, you did. It's called, same time churches were coming in, guess what else was coming in? You had your riffraff, you had your, you know,
Your
outlaws.
husbands.
Right. All these railroad workers, they have to have somewhere to go. They had to spend their money, so they hit the saloon. After they got done with the saloon, guess what? They headed over to the brothel. It was just a way of doing things. I've also dug out over time that they used the code word for brothels to get past law enforcement and stuff. They used the term wine room. So basically they would come in, and all these gentlemen would come in. It would be set up like a hotel. You know, you wouldn't have any indication that stuff was going on in the rooms, whatever. And at some point, the men would be like, we're ready to go to the wine room now. And then, boom, that's where all the girls were. That's where the women were. And back in the day, that's how they made their money. They had to get by some way, some type of fashion. You either got married, or you probably worked in an establishment like this. The building, as it metamorphosized, this again was an exterior wall, but the building basically went this way, and then it went back. It's believed that this other portion, where we're going to go in a second and look at the pictures, because again, this is an exterior wall. When the railroad came through, there was another county seat called Runnels City, which stood about 6 miles north of here. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a ghost town. It's just a marker on the side of the road. There's no buildings there. The reason why there's nothing there is the railroad said, guess what? We'll help you dismantle your buildings and bring everything to Ballinger to build on your lots. We'll do whatever we can to help you. So this town had huge piles of lumber and different materials just sitting everywhere. It's highly rumored that this rest of the part of the building, going from this curtain to my room, that side wall going up to the front, going to the back curtain, came from the building materials from buildings out of Runnels City. Because Runnels City basically died like really fast when the railroad decided to come through here and create everything. If you look at the top of this building, the very top roof, tomorrow I want you to scan and look across the top. You'll notice no other buildings in town have that type of look. It's because that piece on the very top of the building is believed to have come from Runnels City back in the day. They just put it up there. So that's your like indications. Let's go back here real quick and we'll look at some pictures.
I love the history.
Start with this one. Okay, can everybody see this picture here? Okay, these people actually never had anything to do with the hotel, but they had something to do with Ballinger. They were one of the first settlers. It was the Volker family. I think it's a Voelkner. And it just demonstrates how they would put a house up on a wagon. Now look at all these people. They lived in that little thing up on top of that wagon back in the day. And basically they just popped up on the wagon and moved it. younger people sitting here are these same two old people here, and they're buried in that cemetery that we're going to go to tomorrow, because they're one of the first people here in Ballinger. I just thought that was interesting because that just demonstrates how they could easily just pick up and move with the way that they did things. These other history pictures just kind of tell the story. They're all various pictures from Ballinger over time. This little excerpt here from the Ballinger Eagle newspaper is actually from April 2nd of 1887. And the reason why we have this up is because, first of all, it shows how they talked about people in that time. If you did something in town, guess what? It made it into the newspaper. So if you messed around or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, it'd probably pop up in this newspaper as far as gossip. But the other interesting part is this newspaper, April 2nd, 1887, talks about a famous gunfight one street over from here. We're on 6th Street. 7th Street is on the other side of the courthouse. And there was a saloon right over there. And Manny Clements, this particular week or day, got into a gunfight with a big marshal. And Manny Clements had actually run for office here in Ballinger after doing years of dastardly deeds all the way across Texas. He was regarded as probably being one of the most notorious outlaws here in Texas. He ran with John Wesley Hardin, who we're going to look at the picture in a second. He also ran with Jim the Killer, the Deacon Miller. And basically all these guys ran together. Even though they had different last names, they were all related through marriage. That's the reason why they all ran, as a family, basically doing bad things. Manny decided, after years of doing all these bad things, he comes up here to Ballinger right after he got formed, and in 1887 decides to run for office, which is probably the stupidest thing you could do if you were an outlaw. So people are out looking for you. That's the worst thing you can possibly do.
I'm over here.
Well, he ends up losing the position that he ran for. So he's out carousing around town. Well, the marshal out of Central Texas found him, said, aha, I know where you're at. They end up in this saloon and they got into a massive gunfight. There's two versions, actually. One version says Manny was standing at the bar in the saloon and that the marshal just walked in, basically had words right there, and Manny was going for his pistol. The marshal beat him to it, shot him in the left eye, and Manny just died on the spot and went straight down at the bar. The other version is that they were sitting at a table looking like they're having a good conversation, and while they're having the conversation, Manny starts to figure out where everything's leading, and he starts going for his pistol, and right as he's going for his pistol, the marshal shoots him at the table. So there's two different versions. So that's interesting. That just shows you that there were some bad hombres running around Ballinger at the time. There's some reading material here which talks about it if you guys want to read, which is very interesting. There's a marker of Runnels City. That's all that exists of Runnels City at this time. Another interesting thing that we dug up is when you get in an old building, you start digging through history. And the first thing we found was that this was called the Park Hotel. And we thought that's all it was. Well, we started digging history. We found out it was 3 other hotels before it became the Park Hotel. And it didn't become the Park Hotel till 1920. It was the Three Sisters Hotel, it was the Seacrest Hotel, and it was the Royal Hotel before it became the Park Hotel. And this is interesting because these are straight out of old newspapers. Shows you what they charged.
$1.40
$1.40 per day to get a room. You know. So basically, this place housed a lot of different people over time, which just shows, you know, when you think about paranormal, it shows all the possibilities. There's so many different people coming in and doing their things. This is a picture of a building from Runnels City. This is the top part that I want you guys to look at, because no other building in town has that particular wooden structure. This building does at the very top. It looks just like that. These other pictures, here's John Wesley Hardin. Here is Jim Miller, Deacon Miller, and there's Manny Clements. What's funny about Jim Miller, he went by the name of Deacon, He was a really bad hombre, and he's rumored to have killed his own grandparents when he was a child. Basically, about 11 years old, he's rumored to have shot his own grandparents with a double-barrel shotgun, which was his choice weapon. That should just hang, probably. There's something on there. That picture doesn't hang real good.
I wasn't leaving. That's the thing.
There's
My
a nail.
elbow hit
There's
the
a nail
wall.
right there.
My elbow hit the wall and it fell. No,
Okay. Get away from the wall.
Is it gonna hang?
there we go. Please don't fall.
All right, there we go.
My elbow whacked the wall.
Uh,
It hurt.
Jim DeMiller basically did a lot of things. Very bad hombre. He's rumored to have killed an uncle. He's also rumored to have killed about 220 people
Oh.
in Texas and various states around Texas at the time. He went by Deacon because he carried a false alias. He used to hang around with church crowds to try to get people to look the other way. He used to give sermons in church, be like, oh, I'm this really good guy. Well, on the other side, he's like the devil, basically doing all these really bad things. You wouldn't believe that this man up here, all dressed up, could kill somebody. You can believe that this man, who's the same man, can. This man comes out at a dark alley. He can probably take you out. And it's believed that after Manny was shot and killed in the bar, a few weeks after, he tried to take out the marshal in an ambush on a trail right outside Ballinger, blew the marshal off horseback, thought he killed him because a shotgun does a lot of damage, practically blew the guy's total front side off. Well, the marshal ends up surviving but loses an arm, and by then Deacon DeMiller was already running out because he didn't want to get caught again. He always got out on technicalities, which was really funny how he could do things. He got caught up in Kansas eventually, and he was hung with 3 other men inside a barn. They stood him up on pails, threw nooses over their heads, and went around, and as they were hanging the other guys, before they could get to him, he kicks his own pail out from under him, and it's rumored that he said, let her rip, and he hung himself. So he's not a really good dude, and it's believed that Manny's in here, and it's believed that Jim the Deacon Miller's in here. We don't know exactly why, but there's evidence that leads in that direction that these men are here. And one of the first people to get the evidence was the Kling brothers, who did a television show called Ghost Lab back in the day. Brad is a very good friend of mine. We were on the same paranormal team before they got the TV show. And Brad, when he heard I bought this place, he couldn't wait to come up here. Well, the first evidence that they got was the big cowboy walking around this building, and they got some of the best evidence I've ever heard. And they also got an EVP coming back when they were asking about Deacon Miller. A guy comes on saying, you'll never find the preacher man. Clear EVP. So this guy is not a good guy. And we don't know why he's here exactly. It could be because of a girl, maybe. Maybe he hung out in the brothel. I really don't know. But we think he's probably the ominous one walking around at 4 in the morning in this building. And when he walks around, he has like a strut. And I can see this guy doing that. We're also owned by the Seacrest, because it was the Seacrest Hotel. This is the Seacrest family, Washington Hampton Seacrest II, and all his daughters. Basically, Washington Hampton ends up going to Nebraska when he got a little bit older after he bought the building. Turned it over to his daughters, who are pictured in this picture. But if you come over here, here's the same 5 women that you guys see in that picture. And it's believed that possibly they're all in the building as well. We know Kitty up on the upper right is in here for sure. She's buried in the old Runnels Cemetery right outside town. The other 4 are not buried here. They went to different areas, different husbands. But I'm thinking the one on the upper left, that's Octavia, went by Octi. She's dressed up really a lot more than the other ones right here. She could possibly be our madam that we're looking at. It's a very good possibility. We don't know to this day who exactly the madam is at the first brothel that was here. We just had some pictures donated. This is actually Hutchins Street right here, which is right out in front of us back in the day, which is a really cool picture. Just shows you how things have changed. And you guys ate in the restaurant just now. There's your restaurant.
What?
Back when it was a dry goods store.
Now, the thing that really pisses me off about this picture, and I know we're on live feed, it just pisses me off. If they would have turned this picture 45 more degrees on an angle, they would have gotten this building. And it would probably be the most ultimate picture that we could have. But they didn't do that. They decided just to shoot that. Another interesting piece of history real fast. I don't want to make this too long, but this was built by Billy Miller, who was he built most of these buildings in Ballinger. His daughter is the one, or not his daughter, his great-granddaughter is the one we're working with right now to open the jail.
Nice.
Across the street.
Nice
She's
connection.
related directly to him. You know,
That's incredible.
Julia Miller. So
That's awesome.
she's the district clerk here in Ballinger. The house structure. We're telling y'all how the house used to look back in the day. This was shot from the top of the courthouse looking down. And this is actually from the tower of the courthouse. If you guys look at the courthouse now, across the street, it's actually boring looking compared to what it looked like there. And that picture again was shot from the tower looking down. There's a famous picture of Ballinger right here, which is kind of hard to see. But if you look, that picture was actually taken from the other side of the courtyard, looking across the front of the courthouse in this direction. So you see a two-story White House structure looking across there, which is kind of hard to see. So I've done the labor of blowing up that picture section for y'all. And there's your two-story White House. And that's where we're standing right now. Well, actually, we're not. We're in the other part. But this would have been an outside wall. So and there's your restaurant to the left. And we're standing in that space. So that's really interesting. I have a lot of pictures here of how Ballinger is transformed. There were, not going to lie to you guys, there were a lot of people here back in the day. This place was hopping. There's a lot more pictures I've seen that we don't have. The streets are just full of people. I mean, this place had a massive population. It was just growing. And census reports confirmed that. And then for some reason around 1990, the businesses started going away. And now we're down to like hardly any businesses here. It's starting to like come back, but a lot of people have just either died or moved away. So we have a lot of interesting things basically that you guys can do, or different areas you can go to. I don't know who's seen the brothel woman.
I hate
But
that. Scared me.
you hate her?
She scared me.
So basically we got some really cool pieces. This really old piece behind you guys is almost as old as the hotel. That was donated, which is pretty cool. A lot of things happened in this particular room. The mother of the owner who we bought this building from was actually born in a bed right here, back in the day. So this was actually a bedroom back then. And a lot of stuff happens back here. A lot of kids are actually caught here. My wife was doing a group tour one night. No kids in the group whatsoever. They were standing like right here, right outside the curtain, and a train was going by at the time, and Connie was recording. Well, when they went back to the recording, they're just hearing their voices, and all of a sudden you hear the train whistle on the recorder. Right after the train whistle, you hear this little boy go, "Train!" Just really loud. So we seem to think that he likes trains. I guess they like listening to it back in the day. For anybody who's brave enough to do,
Me.
we have a new feature here. It's called the Psychomantium. And I have instructions up here. Basically, you go inside this room. You can read your instructions, but you go inside this room, which has mirrors. And what you're supposed to do is sit in there, and it has a little very dim light. You sit in your chair at an off angle and you stare into the mirror in front of you. You try to relax yourself. It's an experiment that was created by Dr. Moody back in the day. And what's supposed to happen is after a while, it's another form of spirit communication. You start relaxing, you start asking questions, you start getting into that state. And after a while, what's supposed to happen is the spirits are supposed to appear in the mirror behind you.
Sounds cool.
Or to the side of you. But when you do this, you have to do it by yourself. Has to be straight isolation, can't be any outside noise influencing, nothing. So basically it's you shutting the door all by yourself, and then you're going to see what's going to appear in the mirror. There's no guarantees.
Awesome.
I know somebody.
No? Who's K2 with that?
I don't know why there's a K2 in the floor.
These coins are on the floor.
Huh?
These coins are on the floor.
Those coins were on top of the, we're on top of that desk,
I'll
that
put
lamp
them
thing.
back.
Just put them up on top of that lamp.
Maybe they got my phone.
Whew, it feels so much heavier down
Yeah,
here.
it's really heavy. I'm gonna tell them a quick story here. Something happened to my wife right here, which is pretty creepy.
Trying not to blind you with light. But at least I can see you a little bit.
Okay, the reason why we're stopped right here is right after we bought, me and my wife have a lot of experiences in this building. We'd be lying if we told people we didn't get creeped out in here, because there are times where it feels normal, and there's other times where it's just the opposite. There's some days where I walk in here to do work, and I just want to turn around and walk back out and say, nope, not doing it today. You know, you just get that feeling. It seems really weird, but we feel like the building chose us to buy it. Just the way things happen. It just seemed to go in that direction. It's almost like we're caretakers, even though our names are on the deed, but we're just caretakers through history. That's what it seems like. We're just in a long lineage taking care of this building. So I almost have a feeling that the spirits picked us. And the reason why is when we did all this paperwork nearly 5 years ago, we did it really fast. It all came around. We're just like a whirlwind, and all of a sudden, boom, here we are. We got the deed, and we're owners of the building. Well, we started doing our research at that point, history, trying to dig up what we could. The first thing that popped up was the deed history. There was a certain month that this building was always sold on throughout history. It was July. That's when we bought the building. It was July, which was really creepy. Another thing that's really creepy is when wife started doing history, my wife's adopted. So basically she didn't really know her family way back in the day, knew her adopted family. Start digging up names, come up with the name of Pruitt. She dug up her name, former name was Pruitt, which is even creepier. Now, right after we bought the building, I started doing a lot of work, started bringing a lot of things in. The building did not look like this. It was empty, except for maybe that green bedroom upstairs, which already had furniture in it. The rest of this building was empty, which it echoed, which made it even creepier. There just wasn't anything in here. So we're going back and forth, buying things. One day my wife comes up here all by herself with her car, got about 5 boxes in it. She unloads the car, brings all the boxes into the front lobby, puts them down on the floor, locks the front door. She decides to come back here, which is our storeroom, box by box by box. So she's making trips back and forth. About the 4th time she comes in here, she's standing in the room with the light on, sifting through the box, when all of a sudden that big steel door you guys see behind you slams shut really loud, and something starts pounding on it from the other side. And it just starts echoing in here. Like a man was just really upset, and just boom, 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 boom. So she froze in that room. She did not move for I don't know how long. And finally she comes out, lets her breath out finally, and opens the door and goes out. With the funny moral of this story is her creepy experience. She just gets creeped out back here. Well, this particular room right here, she's asked me to make this her craft room. And I'm just like, why the hell do you want to do that? After what happened to you? You know, you just had the craziest experience back here, and now you want to sit in this room all by yourself and make crafts. You know, it's like they're just gonna mess with you. So I think that's pretty funny. A lot of stuff happens back here. You can go anywhere. Everybody's always asking us,
I
These guys already know how active the building is, but y'all are here for the first time, so you're gonna find out how active it is.
Yep.
This building, I could tell you a million ghost stories that have happened in here, but I'm not gonna do that because first of all, we'll be on this recording forever. Second of all, telling ghost stories is not gonna do it. You have to live the experience, and that's the way this building has been for the last 5 years. It has been word of mouth. People coming out of here with their one experience after another, after another, after another, after another. Several months ago, 3 women came back here during an event,
Put your back to that door.
Hell no.
and we're all up front.
Put your
We're
back to
all
this
up
door.
front,
Oh, God.
Put your
and
back to that door.
These 3 women were like, we're going to go off and do our own thing. We're like, oh, fine. So we're up front, just like what we were doing earlier.
Did you feel that?
Yeah. And all of a sudden we hear all 3 women scream at the same time. And they come booking back. And we're all looking at them. They're like,
Do it.
"Ah," they're all freaking out. And we're like, what happened? They're like, we can't believe what we just saw. We're like, well, try us. Especially me. I was like, try me. I've seen it all in here. They go, a naked old man, frail old
upstairs.
man, just ran right across the hallway right in front of us. And he didn't have any clothes on whatsoever. They said he was like really skinny and is very decimated. You guys
Can't
feeling
feel it.
something?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
How cold is that doorway?
Yeah, it's pretty cold, isn't it? Who in here has seen the Ouija table? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Ouija board table is
Yeah,
awesome.
there's a Ouija table in there, which is really interesting.
If y'all want to feel what we're fearing, come up here and just stand in front of this doorway. It's literally freezing, and then there's something that's wanting to touch the back of your head.
A lot of women back here, well, men too, mostly women.
Like-
It really comes out at women.
This is where we caught the on the SLS camera.
Right. A lot of women get their hair pulled back here. Connie's had her ponytail like yanked pretty hard back here before. Other women have had their ponytails yanked. What room were you in last time? Was it this room or upstairs?
When you had your experience being
We'll save
touched.
it if
Oh,
we're
I was
upstairs. Okay, we'll
upstairs.
save it. I thought for some
Yeah.
it was down.
But we were in that room right there, that front room, when we had something thrown down the hallway at us.
Yeah. This little room right here doesn't look like much, but don't let it fool you. This white chair, an apparition of a man and an apparition of a woman have been spotted sitting in that chair. And this room gives people really weird heebie-jeebies. It just has a weird feel to it.
I had a conversation with a kid right there.
Yeah. And you will get a lot of good evidence in this room. Actually, you get good evidence all throughout the hotel, but if you want to zone in on certain areas, this is a good room to try. Now, let's go back here real fast. Okay, we got a recorder going back
Yep.
here. Good.
Ever since we got here.
Okay. That means it could be EVPs popping in while I'm
Absolutely.
Have y'all seen our Halloween room?
Open the door.
It's a mess right now. I haven't really organized it. Normally have it organized a lot better.
Reagan?
But we throw a huge haunted house in here for 2 nights, a weekend right before Halloween, called Hallow Scream. And it's like a huge hit. We have about 40 actors, and everybody goes all out. I look so realistic this year. You guys have seen Jeepers Creepers?
Yep, I saw your
I
picture,
look
man.
just like Jeepers Creepers, and I was just freaking people out.